Welcome to the December 2025 regular meeting of the Clemson Board of Architectural Review. My name is Todd Howard and I serve as the chairperson of this meeting. The other members in attendance today will now introduce themselves.
Nathan Shop.
Hunter Hanahan.
Andrew Neptune.
Christine Tedesco.
The Clemson Planning and Codes Office staff member in attendance is Jacob Peabody. The recording secretary of this meeting is Rebecca Wilbanks. BAR members are appointed by the Clemson City Council. The BAR's responsibilities focus on the design aspects of projects located within one of the 5 architectural overlay districts in the city of Clemson. A copy of the agenda for this meeting can be found in the outside lobby. If you are a member of the public and would like to speak regarding a matter on the agenda, you will need to read and sign the speaker's form. On the back of the speaker sign-in form is a list of things that fall within the purview of the BAR and a list of things that don't. You will be asked for the signed form should you choose to speak. Anyone speaking will be required to stand at the lectern and there will be no speaking from the audience. The meeting will be conducted in the following manner. For each agenda item, the BAR will hear a report from the planning staff. After the staff report, the applicant will be given an opportunity to present their application and demonstrate that it complies with the relevant criteria. Any resident or owner of a business or property in Clemson is allowed to comment on the application and provide feedback to the BAR at each review stage. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to provide comments and feedback. Please consider appointing a spokesperson if there are multiple people wishing to speak. Please do not repeat information already presented by someone else. Questions asked by the board during a presentation will not count toward the time limit. At its discretion, the board may allow the applicant 3 minutes for rebuttal. All comments and questions must be directed to the chairperson, who will respond or direct the question to the appropriate party for response. Any written comments received by the planning office have been submitted to the BAR and will be considered in its decision. After all comments are offered, the chairperson will close the hearing portion of the meeting, and the BAR will discuss and evaluate the information presented in the context of the requirements of the city code. We ask that you please turn off all cell phones or place them in silent mode. As a reminder to board members, please avoid side conversations and crosstalk. Again, welcome to the meeting. And then we'll have our board member introduce himself.
Pete Metzko.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is consider adopting the minutes from last month's meeting. They were solid as presented, and so no changes really needed to be made. Do I have anybody that's willing to make a motion to accept last month's meeting
So moved.
minutes? Okay, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, minutes have been adopted. Okay, action items. The first action item is off the slate for the night because that's no longer up before us. So we'll start with action item number 2, 2025 AR04, applicant Robert Knight, Harris Teeter is requesting approval of dumpster location for 501 Old Greenville Highway. So we'll hear from Jacob to start.
Yes, so this was in front of the board last month. They've come back with more clear rendering showing what they're doing. They went to investigate whether or not the underground dumpsters were viable for them, and they've come back with a standard dumpster and a clarification as to grade and everything, showing where they'll be located. Honestly, with that, I'm just going to turn it over to the applicant to give them a presentation to where we're at.
Could you make sure you introduce yourself?
Justin Besser with Kimberly Horn. Yes, good to see you guys as well again from last month. So as we talked about last month, I think there was a few comments from you guys about the site plans of moving the ice machine, which we moved to the other side, so you will not see that in the renderings there. Additionally, with the landscape plan, we should have the renderings here. We added in 2 rows of shrubs kind of near the dumpster. There's a row of distiliums and then a row of hollies, which will greatly kind of enhance the screening of that dumpster from the road. Nathan asked previously to this meeting of what the grade differential is. So if you're sitting on 93 right here where that car is, the elevation there is around 814. The dumpster pad sits at the bottom around 807. So there is a 7-foot grade difference from the top of the road to where that bottom of the pavement is.
And how tall is the
dumpster screening wall is 6 feet tall.
And then the shrubs specified are 4 feet at planting. So.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think those are pretty much the main comments you guys had last week, and just here to answer any questions you guys have.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item? Okay. So any follow-up questions, comments, concerns?
solution. Yeah, as far as planting wise, I don't see any issue with that. The massing should be fine. Height should be fine. I mean, they're going in at 4 feet, so you're already gonna be a foot above, you know, the fence. Down the edges, as it slopes down the hill, you're gonna be a little bit, lower than the fence, but within probably 2 growing seasons, I don't see that being an issue based on the plant they selected.
And remind me again, what color is the enclosure gonna be?
It's dark brown.
It's a dark
It's a
brown, it's like a
darker
Trex board,
Okay.
yeah, it goes around it.
Okay.
There was the plantings that Nathan requested around the underground storage tanks as well, that's separated there, so those plantings were added there as well.
And they did continue the air machine, they continued that landscaping right between them, instead of having a gap between the dumpster enclosure and the air machine. The landscaping just travels right through.
And where the tanks are, they put plant material around the gas tanks.
Oh, yeah, in that line.
Very,
Yeah. Would anybody like to make a motion that we approve as presented? I'll make that motion. Anybody second? Second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you.
In case anyone didn't hear, if anyone's here for the first application, 199 Old Greenville Highway, that has been pulled off the agenda.
So we're gonna move to our next item, 2025 AR09. Applicant Mauricio Visbal, LV Collective, is requesting approval of materials, landscape, and lighting for 398 College Avenue. So we'll hear from Jacob first.
So there has been some significant changes to the building. You can see how it's previously, basically, on building 400, the brick has been bringing up a whole nother level, and I think has, really improved its look quite a bit. They did on the, building 398, they brought the detail work of the brick around the back of the building, so the soldier courses and the, just nicer detail of that. They went forward with the, darker bottom. Let's see, well, honestly, it's probably just best I turn over to the applicant and just let them move forward. Would you guys like to? Yeah.
If you'll just introduce yourself before you start.
Good evening, my name is Mohammed Wilson with Niles Bolton, representing the architectural team. I've got with me Mauricio Visbal with LV Collective, the developer, and I know Chris Lazarek with Ironwood Design Group is just around the corner, so they'll be joining us here in just a minute. I could drop these just on the two ends. We brought some additional samples based on the discussions we had last month. We, on the architectural side of things, we really kind of narrowed it down in our last meeting to just a few items that we wanted to study a little bit further. We had some good discussions about the samples and the colors, and so I brought some samples to share with you today. The first item was what Jacob was just mentioning. We had talked about the College Avenue facade for 400 College Avenue building. The initial design, the first slide, the initial design had the elevation kind of banded in almost like 3 similar height material transitions, and I think there's some comments about it looking more like having that wedding cake kind of effect on the building. And so what we've done is we went back, we've studied it, and we've raised the brick 1 extra level. And so on the next slide there, you show, I do agree, it improved the proportions considerably. You can now see it as that darker base with the storefront at the commercial at the ground level, 3 levels of the red masonry, the sample I've got down here at the bottom, and then a true cap for the building that's only 1 story tall. So I think that was a big improvement. The next thing that we've looked at, the colors in general, we had a lot of discussions about the fiber cement colors. We had 3 different colors proposed for the project. I think the renderings had kind of shown them a little bit different from some of the color chips, and so we spent some time on these few renderings that we brought with us, really trying to dial it to match the samples. I've got with me here the 3 colors. I'll pass those around that we have proposed. You can see all 3 of them on this perspective view here, which is looking down Strode Avenue. The light color, the white at the cap of the building is this sample right here, the Arctic white. And the mid-tone gray is that sample on the very right this sample right here. That's what you see surrounding the language where we have the wood accents on building 398, exactly there, thank you. And then the cap for building 400 as well. That's that kind of mid-tone color. And then we've got this darker color here, fiber cement, that's where we have some accents like the inset that you're seeing there. So throughout the facades, you'll see we're alternating between these three colors. We had a lot of discussions, good discussions last month about the accent wood panel that we're using and how it relates to the fiber cement panel that surrounds it. And so we went back and actually made some changes to this color selection to find something that worked a little bit better with this wood accent color. So you're seeing what we passed around here. They're the same samples coming from both directions. We talked about looking at different options. We did get a few additional samples, looked at some options, but we ended up backing right where we started, with this one being what we feel is the better color for the project. It works better with the overall palette. It blends well with some of the accent colors that we're using with the hardscape and the decking that we're using at the amenities. And so we've kind of, we wanted to bring a few samples just to show you, but we're proposing that we stick to the original selection here, especially with the way it works now with the accent fiber cement that we have surrounding it.
Is that the hickory color?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit more muted. The other ones are a little bit more on the orange tones, and we dialed that down on the renderings a little bit because it showed very orange last month when we met. And so now we did a better match to that color that we're selecting. On the next slide, I think we have a couple of zoom-in views. This is building 400 showing that added level of masonry and kind of how it helped the overall proportions of the building. I'll pass these colors if you would like. These are the three fiber cement accents. And then the next slide, it goes back and looks at the facade for 398 College. This is the entry to the leasing office, and really what's different about this rendering here compared to what we've seen is we've gotten the colors to match a lot better the samples that we're passing around now. So it got a little bit more neutral. I think in some of the renderings we showed you last month, the colors had gotten a little bit too warm, almost brown, and that was not the intention. We were going for this neutral grays, and that's what you see passing around. The base of that, of what we're calling the tree house on the left side of the screen there, the base, as Jacob mentioned, we went with the darker accents. We took the wood out of it. We had some wood accents, and I think there was strong recommendation from the board last month to stick to the gray and let the wood accent be where we have it around the windows, and that's what we've done. Next slide shows a perspective view of it. Again, just kind of puts it all in context. You're seeing the College Avenue facade there and the storefront where we have the leasing and the entry and the commercial space. So that kind of all puts it together with a better color match to the samples that you got in your hands. Next slide. Oh yeah, so this is the back of the building now, 398. We have talked about, there was positive feedback related to the brick detailing and the articulation that we provided along College Avenue. We were advised to go back and take another look at the back of the building and see if we can add a little bit of that details, that masonry detailing. And so you can see here on that, this is a zoom-in perspective that we didn't have last time. We just wanted to zoom in so we can show some of the details and that little sliver of the elevation there. You can see that we introduced, at the very top, we introduced a roll-lock course and a soldier course under it, so kind of it gives it a little bit of a termination at the top of the masonry. We've got the soldier course and the roll-locks around the windows. And we also introduced a continuous band at the masonry below the lowest level, lowest residential level windows. And so it really it does some of what we were trying to achieve at the front of the building. It just gives it a little bit more detail, it dresses it up a little bit, and in a sense, it kind of helps break the scale some with all the banding that's being proposed. So that was this slide here. And then this again kind of puts it all, kind of zooms out. This is the full College Avenue frontage there. You can see how it all comes together. I think with the added brick on building 400 there, it kind of started to put the overall massing and the composition a little bit more consistent between the two buildings. We knew we didn't want to have a repeat of the same architecture that we're using, but more or less we wanted the same language and same materiality, and I think that helped kind of get the scales to be a little bit more consistent and matching between the two buildings, even though the scale is slightly different. And I think that's really it for the architectural slides. I know past this point, we've got a few more slides that we had from last month if we needed to reference. We've got the 2D elevations as well if you all have any questions. But it was really kind of more of just trying to really zero in on the actual materials and put it all together to make sure that it blends and it works well. So happy to answer any questions. I know Chris is here. We can jump into landscape.
I just have one quick question. The accent to the left of these windows here, is that the same as over here?
That's correct.
Okay, because some of these pictures aren't exactly the same. I just want to make sure those are supposed to be the same.
Yep, yeah, same. And I think maybe what we had done was we had kind of doctored some of it on the large building to match this, and maybe we missed doing that on the 400. But it's intended to be the same.
Just a procedural question. Should we ask for public input just on the materials and architectural expression?
That is, I mean, it's one really application. You can split it up if you want, but it's probably best just to ask for it as a total, I think. It's really one application.
Does anybody want to bring up anything while it's fresh in their heads tied to the color choice and the detailing?
I think it looks a lot better raising that brick proportionally. It's good.
What is the crowning element at that final story on building 400?
That it will be, so the top level, the cap is a fiber cement panel, and so what we're gonna have at the very top is gonna be a coping. So it'll be a metal coping that would extend down and just kind of have a little bit of a termination edge at the very top. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. Up here.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly looks, I see some sort of like verticality within that hatch pattern.
Oh, there is,
And I don't know if that's a
yes.
weird printing or something.
Yeah, so this is really more of the reveal patterning that we're doing on this. So like in typical field condition where we have the fiber cement panel, we really have two main conditions. We have the board and batten, and that's what we're using where we have some of the white, the lightest white color. We have the board and battens, and that helps kind of break the scale, makes it, give it more of a residential feel. And then with the rest of the fiber cement panel, normally those come in sheets of 4x8, and so you would have kind of reveals at the transition from panel to panel. On the front on College Avenue here, we just kind of introduced a slightly more elevated pattern related to that to the reveals. So instead of it just being the regular reveals, every 4 feet, we've done something that breaks it, gives it a little bit more detail where it fronts College Avenue. And that's kind of what you're seeing below the metal coping further down. You're seeing some of those reveals start and stop. We're trying to come up with an interesting composition for the prominent facade.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. The coping itself is solid metal?
Yes.
Coping? Okay.
Yes, it would be a metal coping, and that would only be at the top of the parapet, and usually would have a leg that kind of extends down 4 to 6 inches or so.
Okay. It just looks like something more
Yeah,
unique.
almost like a soldier force or a...
Yeah, or some sort of wooden
Yeah,
something.
no, I think it's just one,
Yeah.
like the rendering of it.
Okay. And I agree, the brickwork is nice. I think that's a nice improvement.
And we went, like Jacob said, with the dark base to the tower.
That's correct, yes, yeah. And one thing to point out, where the plan is, and Chris will talk about this a little bit more, where we have the amenities on 398, we're kind of going with like that decking that's got the same texture and color, so we're gonna be doing a match to that to help blend it. So really what we've done is we've taken the wood accent away from the base, and I think to a certain degree that helped kind of float that, element that we were celebrating, but then we'll tie these color palettes again when we have the decking at the very bottom. Yeah, there, like here, it still shows this kind of lighter orange colors that we had from last time, because I know when we were putting this together, we were still coordinating on the landscape side. But we do actually have the material here that you'll see in a little bit, and it's more of a match to this. So it kind of ties it all together. It's not going to be that light orange color that is shown here, right at that amenity level.
Thank you.
Dwarfs? You wanna jump into landscape before we jump into?
I think so.
No.
Do you want to report out at all before they present, do you want to report out at all before they report on landscape?
No, just let them get right into it. We can go through all the changes that have been made.
See, I put those in there. So that set has it, but it's not.
I forgot my magnifying glass.
I think you have it on. The glasses. When you get ready, just introduce yourself before you start presenting. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Chris Lazarick with Ironwood Design Group. We're the landscape architects for both projects. We kind of did a quick run through because there wasn't enough time for the landscape review prior to last month's meeting. So we understood that the smaller plans that were requested are harder to see. So we sent full-size prints in and took the time after our last run through to meet with Nathan in person to review the plans and have picked up those comments, the feedback, and tried our best to address those, which you'll see reflected in the digital and the prints that you have in front of you. Starting with I guess we can start with the south building in the hardscape. As you might recall, there's a couple of main materials that we have along the streetscape. The sidewalk, if we're on page 1.1S. The main sidewalk you see is the city standard with the new tree grates and the stamped concrete bands that you see coming off that are designated as PO2 for the bands, and HO2 is the new city updated standard for the tree grates, and just a regular broom swept concrete. As you transition from that 10-foot sidewalk, what's designated as PO4 is an etched finished concrete. This is a higher end finish of concrete that has some specs and some different aggregates, so there's a contrast. That is the main field you'll see, and it's represented by this material here. You want to pass that around. At the main entrances for both buildings, we'll touch on this one first, is PO7, which is our precast concrete paver. We had presented this briefly with the warm tones at our last meeting that go and accommodate what is shown on the building. We also brought some other alternate color selections that we can pass out if the tones, if there's comments or you want to see what the other options are available. The main planter walls that you see is the terracing, which is designated as HO3 and runs along the street, is a board form concrete planter with joints. It's a gray tone and it's represented by this. So that will be all of the planter walls that are that vary in height. They wrap the corner, as you can kind of see. The HO3 on the corner, and then it turns up the street, and the leasing and retail entrance is about 2.5 feet taller than the street, and the street is sloping up from left to right. So those planters come down in height as the grade of the street comes down. But you'll see a couple courses. It's a 6-inch pattern for the board. You guys want to pass?
This is the wall.
This is the vertical wall, yeah.
Okay.
And the top will just be a clean concrete, same color. It's formed. We do have railings on, as we go down to L1.2, we have a cable railing system. It's just a black, I did bring metal samples that show it, but it's a wire cable railing guardrail where it's needed. It's designated as H31. and that's the cable railing. It'll have black posts, which are just pass this one. This is the closest match I had in the same. It's on the next page. Cable railing, yes, there you go. Yes, so thank you for pointing that. L 6.1 shows the character image for the style of ring. And then we have just the bike racks that we're showing along there are designated as H04. It will also be black to match, and it's shown on, I believe, 6.1, detail 19. Six 6.0, sorry. And just to point out a couple things as we come along to 1.3, the only thing we're showing is we wanted to point out is that the sidewalk at the city's request has been flipped to the alternate side of Riggs. So the only thing you're seeing is, as far as a hardscape, is just a regular concrete sidewalk that gets you out to Riggs for life safety egress reasons. And on 1.4, there was a request during the meeting to reconfigure the fire lane to allow for more buffer that we'll talk about in the landscape as you come down the hill from the neighborhood. So we've addressed that, and that's designated as shown in the hexagonal pattern. As before, it kind of ran along the property line to the north. This allowed us to create more landscape space and to screen that, because as you're coming down the hill, that's a prominent view. So getting the mixture of evergreens, and we'll talk about that in the landscape, but it helps us to buffer that backside of the building.
So also just a little input, there are transformers there.
Yeah, right.
And so we had to have so much clearance for the transformers, which prevented us from having screening right against that area anyway. So that was the basis for that recommendation as well.
And that's gonna be a grass paved, there's a concrete apron, so it'll just appear as a lawn space. It's not gonna be an exposed concrete or asphalt. Moving to, is there any questions so far?
So on the front walkway, front steps, I see you have this material here on the top.
That's right.
What is is it coming to the first riser?
Yes.
And if so, how is that turn down being dealt with? Are you just seeing the edge of this material? Or what does that riser profile actually
We'll
look like?
have a tread on grade, like a top riser that the paver will butt into. So there will be a flush tread at the top to signify the beginning of the stair.
Okay. Out of this concrete.
That's right. And then kind of moving to the lighting plans, which are designated by the 5 series drawings. We had in the print set, and I apologize, we have a full site photometric that was distributed to the team. It doesn't look like it's in this electronic submission, but it shows all of the light levels at the property lines around. We show light fixtures and the character image and the specs for those in the schedule on the top right and what those look like. We did get some comments about directing the uplights on 5.1 in the treehouse area away from the right-of-way. You'll see that we have the city standard Duke Power fixture spaced evenly between the trees along the street on College. And as you go up, Strode Circle on both projects. And then we have uplights, which are designated by the circular in the planters for uplighting the trees. Those are in grade.
And you can see in this document, the sidewalk that's been added on this coming up Strode to bring a better pedestrian route from Riggs to Strode.
Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, I forgot to touch on that.
Could I just add, the way that terminates where Rig starts, it seems a little shallow. Should we have a little more of a landing?
Right here, you mean?
Yeah, because you're gonna stop there to wait for traffic. You know what I mean? Like, is that comfortable? That little slice right there? Should it kind of curve a little bit?
Well, we don't want to direct people down Riggs. They're going, this is the sidewalk right here across.
I think the main problem I have with that intersection is you have those slanted spots, even if those are pull-in, temporary parking for ride share or food delivery. When they pull out, they're going either up Riggs or up Strode. How are they gonna get out of there? They're either turning around somebody's driveway or going all the way around Strode Circle.
Yeah.
Is that big enough to put a rotary in there, like a one-lane rotary, you think? That would keep traffic from going up Riggs or Strode? Because college kids are just gonna go up Riggs and turn around in somebody's driveway. They're not gonna go all the way around. I was thinking about that. I drove by there the other day. For a one-way lane rotary, it might fit.
It's a good idea. And the parking topic you're bringing up was brought up during the planning commission's review. And I forget who it was, it might have been the commissioner, but the lead, but they had talked about making those perpendicular spots so there wasn't the kind of encouragement to pull back out and head up
Well, the whole
Riggs.
thing, even if you just pull off the side, you're still facing that way.
Yeah.
You're not gonna turn around in the middle of the road.
I
You're just
agree.
gonna turn around somebody's driveway. And there's enough traffic. I mean, this is gonna cause enough people going up that way anyway. I'd like to see some way where they can turn around before trying to make that option. Or have that option.
We did
Not
talk
that-
about dedicating some parking spaces within the parking deck for food deliveries and Uber and pickup.
Yeah, I mean,
That doesn't,
we could ultimately just get rid of these.
One thing with the ride share, I'm up Earl Street, I have a business up Earl Street, and the, Uber, the food delivery and ride share, they know where to pull off. 9 times out of 10, the person blocking the road is a family member or friend dropping off people to get in and out. And it's pretty much every day you'll see a car just parked there. It's like 10, 20 seconds, but they park in the middle of the street, let people in and out. So you do see a lot of friends and family that are going to utilize that. And I'm pretty sure they're going to come up here and try to utilize it there. And that's the one I'm worried about, turning around people's driveways.
Yeah, I would like to discourage any unnecessary traffic into a residential
If you
neighborhood.
could fit a one-lane rotary there, I mean, it would be tight.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the rotary. We can look at it though.
I would be inclined to do away with the parking as well. It's every little bit counts, I get it, but it's really awkward. Think about a pedestrian walking down there. You're just gonna skip over the parking or the sidewalk because it's funky jog to it. Just be a lot cleaner without it. I get the need for drop-offs which that is not, but, a drop-off space for Uber, what have you, but.
So you're saying instead of
Just take them
people
out.
walk straight down instead of using the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes around
Or maybe 2 parallel spots would be only 10 feet, and the sidewalk could come into, wouldn't be so far out there as
Yeah.
I think in real world, what's gonna happen is they're gonna pull down the street anyways and just stop in the middle of the road and let people on and off and then drive up and turn around someone's driveway or go around Strode. People are gonna go up there to pull off and
So is it better just to do 2 parallel then?
2 parallel or 3 parallel we can fit, but I'm more worried about them still facing that direction and heading up towards Strode or Riggs.
I don't think we have the room to do a perpendicular without taking out the trees that are over there.
Well, if you look at the grading lines, that 32-inch pine is technically already gone because they're showing the grading lines being stacked up and manipulated. They're printed very, very lightly, but in reality, that 32-inch pine's gone.
Which one here?
That's
I think they're leaving the grade as is. That would be it's been updated. I think what you're seeing is a render from that.
Save those ones.
they
Even
gonna
this
be-
one right here.
That 32-inch
Yeah.
pine,
Because,
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of great change. I don't know how they're doing that.
I think existing, what the intent from the civil engineer was that they could get this sidewalk in as it was and maintain that grade that's existing, just dropping off.
See, that was, the width of Strode currently is wider, and I think they were.
Yeah, they're gonna take length, room out of Strode.
And they're widening that creek, right?
Yes, to an extent, yeah.
We can flip to the landscape on 8.1 to kind of talk about this area. So we have the creek area that's being maintained and protected. We are rerouting, obviously, some of the streams that are on the project, and one is coming under the building that you'll see on the branch on the right. We had presented our plans in November, and as I said, we had a chance to meet with Nathan and Jacob up at the office, and the suggestion was to create add more trees, create a denser planting, a mix of overstory and understory, which we think we've done a good job of strengthening that. We've also been able to save the 28-inch oak, which was a comment. So we've got that in. There's an existing wall there that's going to remain. That's kind of how it is today. So that tree will stay on the corner. So you're seeing a total of 4 of the existing large trees that are staying, and then we're supplementing with selected species, both at the north end of this plan and along College. So you'll be higher on the street, looking down toward the treehouse, the deck, and the creek area. So mostly native and adaptive plant palettes. We took some of the suggestions that we went over in person and picked those up. We have American elms as the street tree. I don't think we got a comment on that. They're currently spaced at basically 40 feet. There's some where they're a little bit closer to align with the building and the entrances. And then moving to 8.2. The continuation of the streetscape. On the plan east side, we have the existing wall that is graded between the adjacent property that is going to be rebuilt, and we're revegetating that area. I think one of the comments we got from November was what's going on in this area. So we have now shown there is a sidewalk. It only goes down to the stair. It doesn't continue to Strode to create I think the comment was a walkthrough. So it just goes down to the plant and collect a stair tower and get people safely out to College. And then we are supplementing and screening that wall. We have some turf areas and some foundation evergreen plantings.
I only got one question. This is more
Yeah.
for Nathan. Nathan, these American elms are going to be the ones on College Ave.
Yes.
Are you guys using those, was it the Corona street grates tree grates for that?
Yes.
Are those the same trees we have going up in front of the churches? Because all those grates are this high up. You know, after a couple of years, even in front of Baxter's, when we did the streetscape, that tree we had to take down, pushed the grate up about that much. You've seen the problems we had.
Yeah, these
Are
ones
we
are
gonna
gonna
have
be
that
planted
problem?
in silva cells.
Excuse me?
These ones are gonna be planted in silva cells.
Okay, so we're not gonna have that problem 10 years down the road?
Should not, and there should be, with the silva cells, I'm guessing there's also a chemical root barrier as well between the sidewalk.
Yeah, we've engineered around that.
The only comment I have on this page is the size that the tulip poplars are gonna go in on the right. I would just put a straight sod line and just let that natural succession of shade out the grass.
Okay.
But having this wavy sod line for 5 years down the road just doesn't make sense.
Sure, we
in
can
my
do that.
mind. I would just straighten that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your suggestion. Going to 8.3, you'll see the continuation of where we added the additional trees. A comment that we received this morning that we addressed is the density of the planting, screening along, the evergreen planting along Riggs. We have supplemented that and suggested using a mixture of evergreen giant arborvitae with the shade trees behind, and then broken up with the cryptomeria. And we continue that on to 8.4 to create an evergreen buffer and then have a backdrop of a canopy tree behind it. And as you see on 8.4, we've got the evergreen screen with some shade trees in that triangle that we talked about when we reconfigured the fire lane. Any questions? We can look at the north building.
So the only question I have is based on the renderings, like if you look at the architectural rendering, page 1, there is like I know we can't comment on the interior courtyard that's inside amenity, but there's green plantings on the top of that building that I don't see anywhere on any of the plans.
Yeah, I don't have those plans in front of me. It is, I think we took the suggestion that you had for the planter. It's the green, what did we put there? I can pull it up and get you that information. I don't have that plan. It's an evergreen hedge that softens that guardrail behind it. And they're in a 2-foot by 2-foot planter system, like a.
Because I don't remember I don't think I ever commented on it because I don't.
No,
remember
there
ever
was a
seeing it.
plant selection comment, and I apologize, I don't remember. You had made
So I would just want to know what that is, so.
Is there something that you would like to see from that?
I would just like to make sure it's maintained.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know,
I
they
just
can die
don't-
off or.
I mean, that could be fine, I just don't know what's up there. So I don't want to recommend something that's, I don't know what I'm recommending against.
Sure. The intent is a trimmed, narrow hedge, like that will be maintained, an evergreen.
So it'd be like, it will be manicured, like trimmed down and.
That's right, yeah. It's a vertical compact.
I mean, as long as you have drainage up there and irrigation.
Yeah, we have irrigation and drainage. It sits in a planter system with a drain to the slab system.
And it's blocking a railing?
There's a railing that's set back 2 feet from the parapet edge.
Okay,
So that's creating a green buffer. So it's a wellness deck
okay.
that's going up there. It's just pedestal pavers with some planter pots that are back. You don't see them. And then it's got a perimeter fabricated GFRC or fiberglass planter system that sits back behind. And then the evergreen hedge sits up above the parapet, and you have the guardrail behind that.
I mean, it would be easy to put, you know, a U up there.
That's along the, I was trying to get the exact spec.
I mean, like a Duke Gardens U or something like that. Super easy to maintain.
And that's
slope
along the
roadway.
lines, I just didn't want to speak and tell you one thing and it be another. But that's, the design intent is exactly what you're describing. Yeah.
So, just so the board knows, all of the comments that I had made were taken into consideration. One of the big things was removing like the wildflower, proposed like wildflower meadow mixture in the floodway. That is not gonna be a successful long-term element, just due to maintenance. And so, that was a big element. You know, they have just sort of a monoculture in there that I think even if it does flood, even if it does wash, it's gonna bounce back, not gonna be an issue. Ornamental grasses will provide a high-density fibrous root system, so once established, I do have a question, Jacob, whether the success rate of the seeding, the hydro seeding, is there an expected outcome or success rate of the hydro seeding if a certain percentage is not?
So of every square foot, 70% has to germinate for us to basically sign off on it. So before they get a CO, you actually have to have germination. If not, then they have to post a bond.
Okay.
Going back to the rooftop, the plants on top, is it right next to the edge? How much room is there between that plant on the rooftop and the edge of the building?
So I think we're set back 2 feet.
Yeah.
2 feet, okay.
Yeah, it's
Just for
in a,
safety purposes.
and yes, there's a guardrail
There's a
that's for
guardrail.
safety behind
Okay.
it. It's not the
Okay.
planter we're counting on for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so your guardrail will be standard height, 42 inch for
Okay.
fall protection. Then you'll have
And
a
then-
2 foot where there's a
It's not the
planter,
section it would be.
and then you have a slightly raised parapet that you see in the renderings. So all you're gonna see is the hedge above the parapet and
Okay.
maybe the top rail and some glass.
Oh, okay.
So-
Because I've not seen a rail in this.
Yeah, so just for clarification on L-6.1, the item number 7, the rectangular planter, is that the fiberglass planter that's going up there?
Yes,
Okay, so it's just a series of those?
yes, modular, yes, they're all standard.
All drained?
size. What's, all drained, all irrigated. And the spec, I just pulled it up, is. We have a prostrate rosemary right now, but we can, switch it to the Hicks, view.
Nope, the Duke Gardens.
Duke Gardens.
Yep, Hicks is too tall.
Okay. Put that in it.
Duke Gardens U.
And the plural is on gardens, not on Dukes.
And that can be trimmed and stay healthy like that?
100%.
Okay.
I have a question, I'm just curious, on L61, number 8, Cabana Scenic, is that on the rooftop?
Yes, it's set back, you don't see it from the street.
It's
Right. Is that
helping with
in
the
reference
sound.
to L54S?
It is on 5.5. So that's not included, it's the amenity deck.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't see it in the renderings or anything, it's set back a good 40
Yeah,
feet
I
along.
was wondering where it was. Okay.
From way back there, you might
I
see.
do have a question, the string lights that are up there, that are shown on this plan.
They're in the courtyard only.
But it's still a rooftop courtyard.
No, the courtyard is on the backside and it's on grade. It's wrapped. What you see on 8.4?
Or 5.4.
Yeah, or 5.4. That is behind, the amenity deck is on top of the structure. So there's an amenity deck on level 8, and there's a ground level courtyard on B1 that's wrapped by the building.
This one here.
Okay,
Yes.
so where's the plan for the amenity deck? Because that is visible from adjacent. I mean, not if you're on the sidewalk below the building.
Well, the amenity deck is set back a good ways, like there's, I forget the dimension.
It's gonna be like, yeah, over 30 feet from the face of the building.
Yeah, you're not really gonna see that from anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 30 feet from the high parapet, and then you've got the detailed projections at the ground level, so from the face of the
okay,
detail,
okay.
it's sitting even more than that.
This is not from a realistic perspective, this is if you're
Right.
flying.
So yeah, so the amenity deck is essentially on top of the precast deck, so it's
Okay.
behind the units altogether. The roof of the units, the wood construction doesn't have any amenities on top.
We do have 3 trees up there, they're sweet bays.
but they might work. That's gonna be hot.
Yeah, the
That's a
amenity
good plan to
deck
show.
right here.
Yeah. It's kind of in the center of the building, right above the precast construction.
Yeah, it's just that lower bay of the parking there, like, yeah, from the midpoint. And then it's set back away from the face of the building by the 30 feet.
So, can you tell us what dimensions those are, what square footage that deck is, roughly? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's sitting on top of a precast, of one of the two bays of the precast, so the depth of it is gonna be right around 60 feet.
Okay.
And then it runs the entire length of the parking deck, but, you know, maybe a little over a third of that area is actually like an amenity clubhouse. So I can probably do, actually, the matrix, if you have the matrix open. So we can tell you, like, so like it's essentially, if you're looking at the precast deck, it's the bottom half of it that runs all the way through.
6,000 square feet, so 60 by 100.
Yeah, it's about 100, I was gonna estimate
Yeah.
about
6,000 square feet is the amenity deck.
Okay. Well, he said 60 or 6?
6,000.
Okay,
Yeah, it's at 60 feet by about 100 feet.
okay. All right, thank you.
And that will be closed, that was talked about earlier, right? Closed at a certain time of night.
And there's a sound wall and everything to prevent the noise from going to the neighbor and everything. And it's so high up. Really nice.
And then touching on the north building quickly, it's less scope, so we should be able to get through it. Starting with 1.1N. Next row.
Please combine them all to one document.
Oh, okay, it might be first then. So, picking up the same language as we have along College with the city standard streetscape, the 10-foot sidewalk, the tree grades with the stamped concrete bands. We also pick up with the etched concrete at the retail area, which you're seeing again is PO4. There is an on-grade planter cutout, which is what you're seeing in the void there, that will house two understory trees that frame the shape, the street tree there. We have bike racks at the corner for the retail. As we wrap around Strode, we go to a 5-foot sidewalk. And then we have an etched concrete connection to the building. And at the leasing main entrance, designated as PO7, is the paver that we passed along. And on the north side, the next page is the same thing with the paver going to the building connection, and then bike racks in the front and some in the back. For the lighting on 5.1, we've got uplights, the same that we're using for the south building, and then we've got tree uplights on the private side for the trees along Strode Circle. And that continues to the second page. So all of the trees that are on private property will be uplit and service the trees along Strode. And then flipping to the north landscape, 8.1 north. We've got basically the sidewalk at the back of curb on Strode, mixed with some layered landscape and the trees we discussed coming along that are uplit.
And you feel comfortable about the maintenance of the tulip poplars along that road and them against the building?
As far as the maintenance of them, I think that they're a good selection given the space that we have.
I mean, based on their 40-foot wide tree and they're 10 feet from the building?
I thought we had the Arnold specified there, did we not?
It's not specified on 7.1. And you also have the form full to ground, so that could have been so you may want to.
Yeah, I think we would probably select that to the upright version of that, unless the board has a preference, something they'd like to see, we can consider.
No, so what I'm talking about is along Riggs, those tulip poplars. They're, I just don't see them being maintained unless they wanted to do like a pleach tree, which would be, very nice, kept sort of European style, but I don't see, I just see it getting butchered and then finally removed over time. So the only one that I think could possibly stay as the standard tulip poplar would be the fourth one back, because it's further away.
Yeah, and also on the north corner.
And on the north corner, that one could probably be nudged slightly, a little east, southeast, ish. And so that one could also stay as a standard tulip poplar. But I would just check those symbols, because even 8.0 has a different symbol shown on the plan.
Yeah, I saw that comment, that looks like that sheet, it's addressed in the plans, that reference plan. We've aligned that.
And then scroll up to the drive-through. So that is a sidewalk turning northeast into, that sidewalk goes and turns right there. Is that correct?
That there is a path there
Okay.
that takes you to the backside, and then we've got a ramp, because we've got the wall along, right at the property line where we can't landscape for the pharmacy.
One other thought is back by the parking, you have pretty large beds of the mounding variety. It might be more aesthetic and better to use the spicata, the spreading variety, just to fill that in.
Sure.
So along the Strode side of the north building, the idea is keeping the tulip poplar at the turn-in and then at the further end corner.
You could say 4 and 6 from the intersection with College.
And what would you recommend elsewhere?
They're gonna still use a tulip poplar, but it's gonna be the variety Arnold, which is an upright, which they have specified in other locations on the project.
Yeah, we have it on the south building. I think that is a clerical error on the plant selection symbol. Apologize for that, but yes, that should be an upright. We can consider having the larger ones where you had indicated. questions have been answered.
As far as I'm concerned, he's taken a lot of the feedback in place.
I know we had public comment submitted. Do we have any other public comment in addition to that? Okay, how do we want to handle the public comment that was?
To open up to the public comment to this time, see if.
But the one that was emailed to us?
Email. Did everyone get a copy of it?
Yeah.
Y'all have a chance to review?
Okay.
I mean, as long as we're addressing the drainage and they're letting that creek up is enough to take the handle, I don't think we're gonna have a problem with flooding.
Yeah, we
We all
know
know
the
that-
drainage is not the purview of the BAR, the city
Yeah, that would be
engineer
the city.
and stormwater manager have reviewed and have tentatively approved it pending Army Corps approval.
And then Evergreen and that backside of the north building, so that was spoken to.
Yep, that got dealt with.
Sidewalk was spoken to. So from me, from what I can gather, and correct me if I'm wrong, as I was taking notes, I think we need to return to just clear up the green along the treehouse tower part, and then the parking situation along Strode. And those are the two big things that stood out to me.
I still think if there's a feasible, since you guys do own the property on the side where the north building is, if it's feasible to put some kind of a turnaround in there, and not lose the pull off on the side here for dropping off and picking people up. But I just don't really, I'm not comfortable with pushing that much traffic up to the side streets or even around Strode.
Is those gonna turn around in the driveway right there?
That's still pulling in, pulling out. I mean, you could, or you can just put, if you do a rotary, if it could fit there, you'd lose some of that north building though. I mean, it depends on how much room you have there. You'd have to go and take a look at what we actually have there. But I think that would help out a lot. If we could fit it, that's going to be something that you have to manage. It's like right here, you have this side here, which is coming up, and then go around like that. So you lose these two corners. But because you get the road here, you get the center thing here, just put traffic going around this one lane, so you can here, you go there, you go there, you go there. That's if you can fit it. I've seen down on the coast, I've seen some small ones in developments down there, retirement homes that actually do fit in here, but they're, not really made for high traffic.
If it's frustratingly small, it might be something to disincentivize people to cut through.
Just drive right over the middle.
Well, I mean, that's, we would probably have to have it as like a roll curve.
Yeah.
We could drive over it if we needed.
Well, they got those down on the coast in retirement communities that are pretty
It is
small.
definitely
Just go
something we can
around.
recommend the city engineer take a look at.
Take a look at it.
Oh, that has
see
to
if it's
fit a fire
feasible.
truck.
It does. A fire truck can get through there, but like I said, you can do things with like basically a bump that you can drive over, but I'm not positive there's enough room.
Yeah,
That does not look like a, but.
And if you take that off the table, what do we say? What do we see going on here in terms of parking?
I mean, you need a place to pull off or drop off, pick up. And they said they had something in the parking deck for that, but that would still be pulling the parking deck, turning around here, and coming out on College. And there is nothing on College.
Your comments on parking and the roadway are gonna be recommendations, not findings.
So there is nothing on College Ave to pull off. It's just a sidewalk, right?
There is a front area, basically, they've designed like a pull, area for like loading and unloading. Kind of show you that on the other.
That'd be on 1.2.
Yeah.
Next page, there we go. So it's that area.
This area right here.
Okay.
That's all concrete part.
Yep.
It's not the most beautiful thing ever, but that's
We did add a landscape island to screen that.
appreciate that.
But that's not like an Uber loading and
No, it's
unloading.
more like UPS.
Yeah, look for that, but we could use it that way.
I mean, the other, to be devil's advocate, it does take people from just parking in the street.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 6 spots, and like you said, it's already been approved by city council.
Yeah, I
so-
wouldn't like, I would not like to move those spots. I don't want to lose any spots anywhere in town. But, it's just directing.
We
up
can
there is
look
the
at,
problem.
I'm not gonna lie to you, there has been talk about turning roads into a one-way street.
Yeah, but then you see, they'd have to go all the way out to Strode. That's a long way for somebody coming in and out of their house.
Well-
That's, a rotary would solve that if
That's a
it's
different-
feasible.
Yeah. It would be,
Just a note, there's a shadow of some things on here. There are some alignment issues. So whoever was in their drawing, there's some double, where your raised planters are, it looks like they're overlapping in weird locations with the concrete right in there.
I do see that. Oh, yeah, we'll address that.
Yeah.
It's obviously not supposed to be like.
Sorry, that's what
I don't know, as a designer, like you get in the plans.
I did.
So,
I think you have a list of all of the plant things that we discussed?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
in the Duke's Garden, that's so we're considering the materials, landscape, lighting.
I don't have any issue with these materials. I think they're a great direction. The only thing, I can see the gray in it, but the only thing is, everything is very gray based, and then there is,
That's yellower.
like, this is a little more yellow. But then, I think about it in context, there's, some warm wood, and it's still a neutral tone that I don't have enough objection to it to say I don't like it. So,
So, any last comments anything tied to this project before we move into trying to make a motion? Okay, so based on specific feedback tied to planting and vegetation, specifically along that garden top on the tower, would anybody like to make a motion that we approve?
we'll make the motion.
Anybody like to second?
No, second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you very much, appreciate it, thank you for
I appreciate your
working with us.
feedback.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank y'all.
I really think those forms to improve dramatically.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I appreciate the recommendation last month. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So that's going to move us into action item number 4, 2025 AR11. Applicant Ross Kistler, Project Plus is requesting, requesting approval of building materials, siding, colors, and other exterior features for the 106 Summit Street development. So
this is
Report out.
another PD, a very different PD from 398 though. So this is a multiple building, primarily residential, so they're a mixture of uses as a park separately. This PD, as basically as the agenda described it, is what your purview is in it, as it is stated. So it will be going over the buildings themselves, for materials, that type of thing, roof lines, all that kind of stuff. General size has been determined by the PD though. And I guess with that, probably best just to hand over to Ross, and let him start walking us through this one. It's a big one.
and if you'll just introduce yourself before you present.
Just dig through there. All the good stuff. Appreciate y'all's time. I'm Ross Kistler, Project Plus Architects, based out of Greenville.
Yeah, so as Jacob mentioned, we've got a multiple building site here. If you want to stop there for a second, just for today's kind of purposes, we'll call the left side the south and the north, or the right side the north side there. We've got a series of different types of buildings here, but you can see it's kind of a sprawling site. And we're bisected by Hawthorne Street. This went through the PD process rezoning, kind of got approved last September. And, you know, part of that was to get reviewed here at VAR tonight. So just trying to look for those materials and kind of any feedback y'all have so that we can make this better. But with that, the sprawling site, I mean, our goal was to kind of focus on the different areas that are surrounding this and kind of the residential buildings that are touching there. So if you scroll down just a little bit on the south side of the site, you can see, go back up there. So coming in from the furthest south there coming in, we've got the clubhouse there. So trying to keep that as more 1 to 1.5 story building there to kind of match the neighborhood zone. And then kind of as we transition into the site, we've got a lot of grade we're contending with, so we do have a garden style building there. 3 stories on the back, so closest to the neighboring properties, and 4 stories more internal. As we kind of transition through, we have more townhome product. Those are 2 stories off the back, 3 stories off the kind of the drive aisle there on the bottom there. As you progress to the north side, we're using the same building typology, same building sizes, but really focusing more efforts, more units towards the back, which is more buried into the site. The furthest north, we're hitting railroad tracks as well as a large power line. You kind of see kind of on the right side of this, and across there, we've got the collective, which is another apartment deal. So kind of focusing more of the density towards the back. So making sure our scales are kind of in alignment with the neighboring properties. From there, because the site is so sprawling, we're looking at the materiality kind of being very similar throughout, so that's not like, you know, it appears 2 separate projects. It's more trying to keep that cohesive through. You'll see on Sunny Street, which is the furthest south, actually, Jack, if you go all the way to the back of the last 3 pages will be, sorry for bearing all of the civil in there. Unless y'all just want to talk unit plans, but I'm assuming you prefer not.
You know what page you want me on?
It's 31, I believe. Last, yep, start there. No, go down. 32. So this is kind of a progression through the site. The top left rendering is kind of the entry into right off Summit Street. That is the amenity building, the clubhouse leasing. There's a small, there's some small study spaces as well as more kind of flex space for students, maybe podcast rooms, things that we're kind of continuing to learn about student housing, kind of as it is constantly kind of changing in the amenity package. That second picture on the right is the backside of that amenity space. You kind of see it's that 1.5 kind of story approach, kind of keeping with the neighbors. Jake, if you scroll down just a touch, you'll be able to see kind of the key plan, or if you can zoom out even. So that larger building in orange down there is what we call right up in the middle. Right there, yep. So that's the only apartment building in kind of the southern phase. And so that 4 stories is only in one section of that. It is kind of our main terminus as you're driving into the property. But then kind of keeping if you scroll back up, you can kind of see that top right. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So yep, that's the view as you're kind of driving in. It's tucked back a couple hundred yards off of Summit Street. We're playing with the materialities of brick, hardy, and some different color vinyl windows. And so we're using some different color stained soffits as well as it's a hardy accent panel, but we are using kind of this more wood tone in certain areas to kind of contrast those materials. And you'll pick up on that throughout. And as we scroll down a little bit, the backside is 3 stories, and so that's what's facing our neighbors, the most direct neighbors to us. And so it's trying to drop that scale, but use the same materiality. As you kind of pull through, you'll start to see our townhomes are kind of the same color scheme, making sure that everything's cohesive because it is so sprawling. But it's kind of a breakdown, but similar kind of colors and language. And then if you scroll down, you'll start to see kind of the repeat, but on the more dense area. So as we pull through across Summit Street, you go through a little bit of a parking lot, and again, a couple hundred yards back, we have these two apartment buildings that are faced kind of skinny ways as you're coming in, so they're not too imposing. And then we're sinking them down, so the 4 stories only impacting us internally. This is a little bit of a stepped kind of terrace area where we have a music pavilion, and that kind of steps down, helping to kind of hide that. I mean, this almost looks like it's probably bigger than it is, but once you kind of back off the street a little bit, it's gonna feel like a 3-story building. The next picture is kind of that pool pavilion, and with internal to that 4-story courtyard there. And then the top right is the backside of that pool pavilion, which is also our gym area and additional mini space for the more dense side of the development. And then you'll see some other ancillary buildings, some maintenance shed, as well as a little bike storage, indoor bike storage, and kind of covered area for working on those bikes. So that's kind of the.
Good job being the last one.
We did it.
Yeah.
Scared them all away.
Scared them all away. Sorry.
Yeah, so we've got materials here. I'm sure y'all are over interested in seeing all the samples, but I've got samples of the windows as well as the railing in the car if y'all want to see those.
The question I have, you have 2 different roof styles. I mean, it's not just shingles, you have metal roofing. Where's the metal roofing gonna go?
So you got metal roofing right over that bottom right there, or here you go. Another shed right here, so over top of
okay.
really our
Okay.
entry point. So where you're experiencing the most is where we're going to slash it with some metal.
So like over on picture number left, sorry, right there above the decks would be a metal roof. Is that
Above the decks. We got
Right there.
that part right there?
No, that shouldn't be a metal roof. That's just asphalt shingle. Anything above the top plate, we're gonna call it as just asphalt
Okay, so
shingle.
metal in the front.
If you can't see it, just assume it's asphalt shingle.
Okay.
Is the shingle color going to be consistent throughout the development? Okay, and which color is it on the
It's
sample?
Oxford, what do we call it? Oxford gray.
Oxford, okay.
And it's got a little bit more depth to it than just like a solid black.
A little bit of greenish gray.
And we can tweak that a touch if you want to, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the brick is that kind of grayer mixed, right? Consistently,
Yeah,
same brick?
And we've used that on many kind of townhome and multifamily projects. We can get y'all more examples of kind of what that looks like. Y'all know this, but the mortar makes a big difference too. So,
Yes, so you're using a dark gray mortar, it says?
yeah, what was it, Smith? Dark gray. Yeah, I believe it's a Smith gray is what we've used in the past.
Okay.
It's forget what it's called, the type of mortar.
Well, thank you for not using white.
No, we like spice it up with some darker colors. And you'll see in there, where we go dark, we're using dark windows. Where we're white, we go with white windows. So instead of having that contrast.
Where's
the
radius?
subtle. Yeah.
Make it too busy.
Sometimes it looks like a black eye or.
Sorry, we're trying to figure out where some of this goes.
That's more of just the stain color. That's an example of the stain for some of these soffits, as well as some of these may end up being.
So number 2 on that picture, on the left drawing,
Yep.
is that this?
No, it's actually a hardy panel. It will be.
It's a hardy board like this, or?
So no, that's the Trex, but we actually have.
But it will be similar to that in
Similar
color?
color, but it's actually, so the Carolina Color Tones is based out of Arden, and they'll take Hardy and print their product on top of it. It's just a film. And so it's a backing, but it'll be that warmth. And they have different colors, and we get you, I thought I had that sample. I have all the other ones, but we can get you those so that you
Please,
can.
more samples.
Yeah, we'll send it to each of y'all's houses, so yeah.
So the grain will be like applied like
No, it's not so it's the hardy, the wood grain texture.
It's the
our
texture,
has,
and then-
and they just print their film over top of it. So I don't know, I'm sure we have some in Clemson, some other, like another big name is Woodtone, which is based out of Canada, but Arden is a local
So,
manufacturer.
do they just pick a general tone out of this?
No, it has some variation.
Okay.
And I can, we've used it on multiple projects. I can send it to you. Just
So
so-
that's what it looks, that's the finished look.
yes, that is that chestnut color.
So it's gonna have some texture and some variation in color in it.
Okay.
Correct. And it's just an easy product to,
There are 3 different tracks?
Yeah.
so the Honey Groove is what we chose. That's what we printed, and then we got the
Is
sample.
this one here?
And we were a little hesitant, so, but we'll,
And then the board and batten is gonna be,
we have 2 different colors that the board and back can be. That could be the black fox with pearly white.
okay.
And
For the final material report, it would be helpful to have them like numbers on the pieces to like correlate with.
here, you want me to, I got pins.
Yeah.
Great, start right.
There you go.
Yeah, it is an odd color.
Yeah, that was, looked better before we got a sample,
Yeah.
but we'll trade that out.
We can see where it was going with the brick and
Yeah.
the roof shingle
It's,
color.
it's one of those, yeah, it almost has like a
Is that
tint
vertical?
to it, and that's
Slats?
The,
No, that's the
no, that's the
decking.
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 That's the decking, okay.
Honestly, think something darker would end up being nice in that.
I like the brick color. I like that as a,
Yeah, the brick color is great. I even like the siding.
Which sample is the underneath of the roofs for like the deck, the little porches?
That's the same, they're your wood tone.
Okay.
We can put that as a horizontal, or the ceiling application.
Iron gray.
The black fox versus iron gray. Is that what that one is?
I don't know. It says iron gray.
Yeah, it should be black fox. So it's similar. But yeah, I'll flip that one out for you. So those are similar tones. That's hard. So those are hardest pre-finished materials right there.
Okay.
And so those are a color match, if you will, but it is, what do you call that, the Dream Collection? That's how they refer to it. So they just come pre-finished, but we'll paint on site.
So I mean, we would need the actual colors.
Switch to those colors if you like.
You said you'd switch to these colors?
If y'all, if we approve tonight, we will switch to those colors.
oh, man, I don't,
Or is it, I hate to even say this out loud, the owners here, but we could potentially do a mock-up panel too, so that you'd see all these and approve them on site versus having to waste more of y'all's time.
can I see the wider one really quickly? This one.
That's what they said, a brick. Oh, no.
I mean, I think it works.
7 is black fox.
Against it.
Yeah.
So 7 would be a board and batten style, or?
So we have board and batten and we have some horizontal. So, but yes, in that zone, there is board and batten that's painted black fox.
Which would be the darker color,
Correct.
whatever that is. Okay.
Exactly.
And then that's the lighter color on the little pop-out wing.
Yeah.
6.
Man, I don't. And what's the actual color of the one, the darker one that we have here?
This
Oh,
is,
that's the black fox.
this is
gonna be
called
7.
iron gray.
But that's what you want, black fox, that's gonna be 7.
Correct. It's very similar tone there. The goal is for it not to be straight gray. We want it to pull some warmth to it.
I like how this pulls out the darker tones in the brick though.
With the black fox, is it gonna be darker? If you do
The black fox, this print's a little bit darker than probably what it is. It has a little bit of that brown undertone. That underneath this light right now is,
Looks a little grayer, like bluer.
it almost has a blue gray, but we've used that same thing on 3 other projects, and I can tell you that, we can take y'all to those if you want to see them, or you send pictures. But
Where are they at?
the difference is painting on site versus pre-finished.
You wanna look it up?
Where's it, you want me to pull one up?
If you type in the Hub Greenville SC, and that'll have, it's the same color palette actually. The Hub Townhomes, this was probably, or
Look at the architecture of the clubhouse entry building.
Oh, there we go.
yeah, so that's the same color palette that we're talking about here. That has the wood in there. It's got
And that's
some
the
white.
black fox, or,
Yeah, that is iron gray.
Okay.
There. That is, so that's the exact same color palette. And then we've got another similar, you're not gonna find pictures of it, it's just finishing now, but called the Kitson, townhomes.
How would you spell that?
The Kitson, Kitson. It's gonna be tough to find finished pictures though. You might be able to find some renderings. Yeah, that's not helping yet.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of same, it is the same color scheme.
I mean, I could see using that darker color, but I could see going with the black fox and it being a little bit warmer. I mean, I think either one. I'm not sure how that works with the decking color though. That seems a little bit off.
No.
With that decking color?
Yeah, against that.
Is this that same product you're talking about?
Yes, this or with this?
Yeah, those two. Those look good together.
Yeah, I mean, I think those look fun. I mean, again, it's not daylight, it's,
Picture, is that the
you
product
know.
you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the exact same product.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so it's, and almost the same application.
Yeah.
So it is a hardy material, and that's what we like about it, because people know how to install hardy. They don't necessarily want to do a rain screen and kind of hold it off, and you're just asking for potential future issues.
And durability, the bonding between the,
It's got it. What's that?
like between the material and the application, it's,
Yeah, they have a 20-year warranty. I don't know if it's been around for 20 years, but
Do you have any architectural renderings of the entry building?
like, if you go back to that page,
It's just yeah, that number one.
Right there.
Yeah. It's just a very weird angle to the building. And I'm trying to figure out, that is a lot of steep pitched roof right there that is just,
I actually kind of like it. Because it's just different, I mean, it doesn't look, it almost looks churchy in a way.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, or European, to me, it looks very more contemporary European, like with that higher slope. I mean, I actually,
Is that a vaulted space within there?
yeah. That's a little hangout space right there, and then it transitions over to the study rooms.
And do you have it in the set,
so
are there non-perspective drawings of it?
X1. X1 has,
X1?
yeah.
So that, you start looking at these apartment deals, especially guard style, and it's just rinse, repeat, they stamp the same clubhouse over and over, so trying to spice that up, but not be too foreign.
it does remind
So that's your gym.
There we go.
It's a little refreshing though. I mean, I think it's, especially with the prominent chimney, I don't know, just doesn't read of the vernacular around here, but it It's a pleasant
Breaks the
looking.
monotony.
It's a pleasant, I think it's pleasant looking.
What are the chimney caps metal or, like a, ceramic? Was there an inspiration for that? Or just kind of a break, more of a break from the typical was the inspiration?
I mean, the materiality is the same as the rest, so trying to tie that all together. The gable roof forms are just from the neighboring properties. You have the larger kind of hardy panel massing that's kind of trying to bring it a little bit more commercial, but and kind of tie back into the rest of the project. But it's there. I can't say I have a true precedent.
Is that
just
wood
from-
burner or is there an actual fireplace?
There's a fireplace. It'd be gas. So that's, we don't fully need that chimney. That's aesthetics.
I like it because it looks substantial versus flimsy, and so much of what's built around here looks flimsy. You know? I just like the weight of it.
This is the one that we can't comment on the landscaping, right?
I mean, you can comment and recommendation.
I saw something somewhere.
I mean, if you want to give us any comments that most developers appreciate your comments, so. What is it? Yep.
I mean, we're here to make it better. Yeah. So any comments are welcome.
So your rendering plantings on this don't really match what's on the landscape plan. And I think there's not a lot of room. It's like building and sidewalk. I don't know if there's any way to give yourself a little more,
We've got wiggle. We can shut it off.
I would just give yourself a little more room, because, I mean, you could stand on the sidewalk and, basically, you're standing next to, like, within 5 feet of that whole thing. I would say that if you could give yourself enough room to give the silhouette of some trees against that room, because it does have that that end has that sort of European rustic. I mean, you could almost feel it, especially when you see it in the context with like the conifers and stuff. We don't have a lot of good conifers here, per se, but I would just say in the feel, I think just making sure you have enough plant material to have it not just feel shoved up on the sidewalk. And you'll still see the roof, but having the silhouettes of the trees there, I think would help that.
Okay. Do you have any tree species you would recommend?
I was looking to see what y'all had specified, because if you had something good specified, I wasn't gonna, say anything bad about it for first. But it's not, let's see. You don't have any, it says like parking canopy tree. Like you just call out. I mean, you're gonna want something there that can handle like an urban type environment.
Okay.
Just because you're so close to the sidewalk and the building, so the heat radiating off of it. You could do like, if you wanted some color, you could do like a narrower oak, or like a narrower maple tree, like a trident type maple.
What are those shaggy evergreens that we put by Bixby? Those actually actually turned out pretty well.
Was it
You're talking about
they're either the cryptomeria or are they Deodar cedars?
cedars, or some sort of cedar.
Yeah, like the Deodar cedars,
I looked-
there's some narrow varieties there.
Those are the ones along the
On
side
the
of
Kiwi
Bixby?
Trail side
Yeah.
of Bixby, there were these cedars that would look really good with this building.
So,
Can you send me just an image of those?
yep. I can't, yeah, it's
I
been a
can-
while.
They're next to Bixby though?
Yeah, the next big second landscape
Between
plan.
Papa John's.
That's bad. Tell me what it is. No problem.
I'm
I'm sure if you send a picture, the landscape architect will know though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, infrastructure, right now. So I guess y'all have a specific list of trees that can be used. Please do not use a winged elm. Please do not use a silver maple.
This is what it looked like, but they've grown quite a bit since then.
I would say everything else on those upper story trees. The only reason I'm thinking a maple and not an oak is if you're right next to the sidewalk, you don't want all the acorns, ankle twisting, whatever. So, I would go that way. But I think there's some ways to have a lot of fun with the character there. So,
What were those trees called? Deodar
I've got Deodar cedar.
cedar?
yeah, they're not on this approved list. And I'm sorry, what was this?
That's the ordinance that council approved in relationship to this specific PD.
I'm sure we can,
So,
with Tony's approval, I'm sure we can.
yeah, I'm sure.
Those are just kind of like a approved planting list that's for Tony.
Yeah. Okay.
But these are the cedars when they were first put in over there.
Oh, so those are actually, those are ball cypress.
Ball cypress.
Yeah, those are not cedars.
Sorry, ball cypress.
They are deciduous. They're not evergreen. But
Yeah, they've grown quite a bit, so they seem to be taking their urban.
yeah, they can.
I think we would want to stay evergreen there.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I'm gonna write Deodar cedar, but I'll follow up with the landscape architect on that.
And there are some narrow varieties they could do there that could fit in. And those are very long-lasting trees.
All of them's good. Can we get like
70.
dwarfs?
What?
Can we get a dwarf species?
Yeah,
Good.
but, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the tall tree.
Sure. As long as we have the right area for it, right?
Well, those can be limbed up. So for example, right to the left, down the hill from Tillman, that whole grove of trees, that are all limbed up 20, 30 feet, those are all Deodar cedars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can limb those up as they grow pretty easily.
Okay. I like that.
I mean, for the rest of the architecture, it really just looks like a normal apartment complex. I mean, it's,
Yeah, it has that contemporary flair with the color palette and the.
Plus, for the most part, it's not really visible from any major road.
Yeah, I think what everyone's gonna see is this building up front.
Yeah, that's about it.
that's,
I mean, to be honest, the rest of it, you're gonna have to be inside.
It's a little past Howard Street, right?
Yes, exactly, that's right, so where the entrance of the current varsity is, it's gonna be to the left and kind of push back from that.
can you pull up like a,
Street view?
no, like a Google Maps view?
Yep.
Just, everything in this is black and white and
Yeah, no problem.
I want to move a color. It all looks the same.
Okay. So we are coming in basically, see where this house is right here? Right there. And wrapping around to this big area back here.
So you have railroad tracks on the backside, you have an apartment complex on the northeast, you have Harris Teeter on the southeast, and then there's the hotel
Hotel's right down here.
there.
Yep.
And is that Hawthorne Street's a public street?
Yep. Yeah, but it's going, the development's gonna kind of go right across.
Yeah. So tell me about, which I know we don't have any say so on, but I'd love to hear about the public park area.
Yeah.
John, do you want to talk about that? I'm not as familiar with the public park. So was that part of the PD? Or you might know as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think overall, we were required to give 10% of the site to qualify as a park. You can see it, it is kind of meandering down. We have a stream. So we have a couple of issues with those transmission lines. Those are Duke power lines,
Yep.
very restrictive in terms of what you can do beneath them. And then we have the stream, so we thought it'd be best appropriate. We're gonna come in, I don't know if you guys remember from the planning commission and council, the 10-foot wide intermodal path throughout the site. We're running it all the way over to the park with public access easements. We've been through that with Jacob and the guys, where those easements will get dedicated. We're also dedicating easements to adjacent properties. So when you looked at it earlier, you saw the big community to the north, railroad tracks, but the area kind of east-ish is kind of something that the city's got earmarked as it's gonna be a redevelopment. You
Yeah,
know, it's,
I have a guy who's coming in right here with a little like, sort of tiny, actually sent me pictures of what they're gonna look like, a very cool like container house, kind of modern things coming right here that he's gonna wanna connect to your park in the back.
all right, so yeah, we made an effort so it would connect, so it wouldn't just be an isolated park. It'll hopefully match up with these other properties that'll probably have some scale or density to them. And then you can use these walking trails and get back on that 10-foot trail or the 10-foot intermodal connectivity all the way out to the bus stop that we're installing in front of Bojangles. And then 93 eventually is gonna get restriped to be like way more bicycle friendly. So that's, that was kind of our goal. Jacob was working on that. Hopefully we get like the commuter bikes from the university. They're reluctant to do it now because of just safety issues, but hopefully once 93 gets restriped and becomes like a true bicycle lane, that you'll be able to ride it all the way up into this park. That just, again, kind of one more, what's that term, like chink in the arm, just building upon the network of.
So that 10-foot pathway system, just so I understand, is on the page south of all that parking?
Correct, yeah.
Like going,
From Hawthorne, where it splits, all the way around in front of that parking to like the walking trails. yeah.
okay.
And the topo, I mean, if you've driven by it, the topo back there is like, it's crazy. It's a pit, so it's, worked with Nathan trying to get, that intermodal has to be, it's got pretty stringent slope requirements, things like that. So we got it as far in as we could and then take it over with some of the walking trails.
And is that a retention pond on the east?
That's an open pond, yep, to the east.
Okay.
And then that, again, that's buried way back in there. So again, when Ross was telling you about the two buildings, 13 and 15, when you're driving at Hawthorne, they're down significantly, and then the pond is hidden behind building 14, and then the only people that would really see it is another student housing community up above it to the northeast. So it's kind of concealed back there.
Huh. That's a, public park, just as a side note, Hollingsworth has done a great, and actually just won an award for their public park quality and preservation. And so I'm glad that there is something in there.
We're gonna leave it pretty natural. That was what Tony Tidwell, wanted to keep it pretty, we'll thin it out with some invasive and stuff like that, but keep it pretty natural. But yeah, Hollingsworth, they built that spur line off the Swamp Rabbit over to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what this is, so it's more than just striping what's on 93. We're gonna do an actual 10-foot wide multimodal trail down all of 93. And he's bringing this out all the way past Harris Teeter out to 93. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be, because we're developing a pretty good bike system around, it's gonna take time, but this will be the spur to a
Right.
park. It's kind of I mean, you can kind of picture, you go for a bike ride down 93, you go stop at Harris Teeter to grab something, and then you go off into this park to go eat, have a little picnic back there. That'd be pretty cool.
So I think even though, I think we're fine with the colors as presented, right?
Yeah.
If you want to,
Just mark these as that.
yeah, I mean, I think we'd probably feel more comfortable approving what we see, right? Versus-
Well, either that or we have to have new samples of the actual colors. But I mean, this works. And if this works, I don't see why not using it.
Yep, so just mark up.
And the decking, I think works best is the riverbank. I think is the,
Yeah.
yeah, it just has a good
Yeah.
tone
The
to
renderings
it.
don't do it justice. I mean, it reads, I mean, the colors are much better
Yeah.
in person.
I agree.
Okay. So any other comments or
So
concerns?
you're doing like a gray route or
It's a black,
black route? Okay.
or dark gray.
Saying here.
No, it says dark
Okay,
gray
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
border.
we're going with the colors we see here.
Okay.
No, but on the brick, it says dark gray on the border.
Yeah, it's a Smith, I mean, the one we typically use is Smith gray. That's
Does it look like that?
it's a little lighter than that. I mean, it's the same, if you still have the hub up, I mean, that's what the color comes out to. It's that one. So it actually comes out a little bit lighter. I mean, that's obviously probably a little bit washed out in the sun, but it's, Smith gray's probably a touch lighter than that.
Okay.
And I think honestly,
Similar.
the real sample, just like we noticed on the others, is probably a little better than this, what this
Yeah.
picture's showing.
Okay.
That's got some warmth in it. And obviously, the colors next to it help warm it up as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anybody willing to make a motion?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, there you go. Thank you much.
Appreciate your time. And input.
Appreciate it.
You all want these, or you want us to keep them
I
back?
think,
Does he need to keep them?
do we keep the, we want to keep the board, right?
Yeah, well,
Give me a mark these and keep it.
however you want to do it, we need to have something that smells of those, so I don't know if you want to mark up your
And
own.
also, I mean, I'm gonna update it in our system, I can send you back a new one too.
Yep, either way is fine.
Okay.
Okay, that moves us on to staff reports. Do we have any staff reports?
No, I don't think so. So both Christine and David are rotating off the board. So I think we do have applications in. I don't know who applied, but neither of them applied to be back on the board. But I think we do have 5 applicants, so hopefully we got good stuff.
Another board?
But, no, that's,
Moving on to bigger and better things.
Zoning committee?
David's,
Zoning
David's doing a
appeals.
speech in Europe for you.
Oh, he gets to go to Virginia. Yeah, okay. I understand.
Zoning appeals board that meets twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Ish.
Here's one more sample. Okay.
Okay, and any other business for tonight?